it's Todd Ault. We are somewhere special. Back home in Indiana. I can't sing. I can't sing like that guy. Was it Jim Neighbors?
Jimmy Neighbors?
Can you sing like him?
I cannot sing at all.
Can you sing anything?
No.
Do you have any kind of voice at all?
No voice at all.
Right. You can sing a strike or what? Forget it. Sorry. That's a reference to Jason throwing strikes when he was a major league ball player.
I probably couldn't even throw the speed limit right now.
You
What is
couldn't?
it here? 55? Maybe I could hit 55 on the radar gun. That's about it, though.
Hey, it's episode 176. This is June 19th, 2022. You're watching what could be the greatest show about risk ever. We all know that's not true, but that's a forward-looking statement. We hope to be a great show someday, but we do have a great show today. I'm ad-libbing a little bit because I'm in a foreign place and the lights are really bright. But if I could see the chat, I think Jason and I are suspicious. We kind of know what you want to talk about. And all I would say to you is, I have never sold a single share. Not one share. Since September, I bought 750,000 shares for the fund. I think personally I bought a couple 100,000, maybe like 300,000 or 400,000. I can only let my actions do the talking. I'm in a quiet period. There's nothing I can say. And you tweeting me about it won't help you, but it'll make sure that you don't get to be invited to any of these events. Maybe you don't want to go anyways. But I would encourage you to buy your stocks like you buy your groceries. You don't go buy more apples because they're more expensive. You buy more apples when they're less expensive, right? If you like apples, right? I can't really help you. I'm not your stock advisor. I don't know why it's down. Frankly, when I can buy more, it's actually better for me to be down. We're 3 years into a 7-year plan. I think I've said that like repeatedly 100,000 times. And of course, we know we're going to mine in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
Do we know actually? Do we actually know?
I think we have an idea.
Where is Bitcoin right now?
Bitcoin's probably around 41,625 in, it's priced in fiat currency, the USD.
And this show is powered by Bitcoin because we're sponsoring. Okay, so I got to follow the script because we have a producer now, so there's no ad-libbing. It's the show. We have a very special announcement. We're in Indianapolis at Ed Carpenter's race headquarters. We had lunch with his crew today. We got to go. One of the coolest things, it's got to be in the top 10 coolest things I've ever done. Conor took us, it would have been nice to be like in my car, but Conor took us in was an SUV. What is that, a Tahoe?
A nice Chevrolet Tahoe, absolutely.
And we got to drive right on the Indianapolis Raceway, and Conor tried to like apex the turns like it was really racing. It was incredible. Did you think that was fun?
You know, I was riding with John, and he pushed that Tahoe to the limit. I think it might be limited at like 90 miles an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was getting after it. So
No, I actually told Conor to slow down a little bit. Because I was worried that Conor would not realize how much weight was in the passenger side, and therefore the car would like lean too far when he was going into a corner because of my weight.
Yeah.
And it would throw him off, and then he'd go into the wall.
You think he'd like pull an extra G or two with you?
Yeah, I
there?
think the car would like lean. I could see like from the back, it looked like the car was leaning to my side. So
Yeah.
Conor had to like push the weight jacker over the other side to make sure that the car didn't like go into the wall.
Gotcha.
Dude, we took the road course.
Yes.
We took the regular course. We got a full tour. It was like one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, shout out to Doug. Awesome.
Yeah. But by the way, you guys are going to have a chance down the road. There's a reason. What could be the reason we would sponsor an IndyCar? What could be the reason? Jason? Could it be Earnity? could that be a consumer-facing product? Do we own any Earnity? Am I like a fool? Why would we sponsor? Why would we, as a company, sponsor the single biggest attended event in the history of mankind? Is that true?
I don't
I'm
know
pretty
if that's,
sure it is. No,
is that a
I'm
forward-looking
pretty
statement?
No. I'm actually sure. The Indy 500,
Yeah.
the actual event.
Right.
5.56 million people watched it last year.
Yeah.
It is, NBC is going to televise 13 races this year. The Olympics are on NBC, so it's a great trailer into the Indy 500 season.
Yeah.
Or the Indy season, right?
Yep.
Why would a stupid marketer like me want to be part of the greatest spectacle on earth? Maybe because we have an exciting new consumer product. Could be many other reasons why. What else? Do you want to sell more donuts?
I mean, we have Turn On Green.
Yeah. You mean an EV charging company?
Yeah, absolutely.
What better place to connect ourselves with than automotive?
I mean, General
Do
Motors.
you think anybody drives an EV to the Indy 500?
I know General Motors is making a big investment into EV.
I just saw they did an order with our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
So, yes, absolutely.
So for those of you who can't figure out why we're here because of Ed Carpenter and Conor Daly, and I got to tell you, no one's more excited than me to meet Ed Carpenter. Yeah, you're right. Like, it's a lifestyle thing. I got to meet Ed Carpenter, who's like one of the fan favorites in Indiana, from Indiana. Started a racing team on his own.
Yeah.
One car. Just decides to start a team one day. Manifests it. He gets the 3 cars. Ran Danica at her last race.
Yep.
Lots of other people. Fuzzy Vodka was a sponsor of one of his cars.
Yeah.
This is like, it's huge for us. Huge. Anyway, so the big announcement is obviously we're sponsoring Conor Daly, Ed Carpenter, and the BitNile Chevrolet. I get to say that, by the way.
Yeah.
BitNile Chevrolet. That's so cool.
Sick.
I know it's sick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Sick. Anyways, we do sell power supplies too, other things like that. So it's going to be exciting to associate. If you saw in my Instagram, you saw Alzheimer on his race suit.
Yep.
You saw Ernity turn on green.
Correct.
I'm excited.
And of course, BitNile.
Hey, Brett, can we roll the clip of our friend announcing this the Conor Daly Ed Carpenter deal?
Yeah.
Insert Ed Carpenter here, it says.
And we are racing. Ed Carpenter with the lead. And Ed Carpenter gets the victory. Oh, man, what a finish.
Two starts, one pole, one win for Ed Carpenter. It's going to be a happy homecoming down the front straightaway. Ed Carpenter, he'll be on the pole.
Ed Carpenter will come off of corner number 4, and he is going to win.
Is that it? Hey, wait a second here. Before we go to Ed, I actually think the car behind us, is this your first winning car right here, Ed?
Yeah, this was the car that Ed Carpenter Racing won its first race with back in 2012, right at the end of our first season. So pretty cool car.
Those of you who are actual race fans you'd be dying to be here. I mean, the place is, first of all, you could eat off the floor. I mean, one of the things I noticed, first of all, there's a couple things I noticed. One is, you're a great looking dude.
Well, thank
and
you.
no wonder you have such a pretty wife. How does a race, I guess you could be like a race car driver and a great looking guy at the same time and married to the pretty girl all at one time?
I got lucky there for sure.
Did you?
Yes.
Can we hear Ed okay? Is he close enough to the mic?
I can move it closer.
Nice.
You know, I mean, it's like, I always think of like a rock star, like with long hair like Randy playing a guitar and having other things about him as a rock star. So you want to be like a great looking race car driver, right? I mean, before you were married, you're probably like,
I never cared that much about my looks.
No?
Like, Connor probably cares more about his looks. He puts a lot of time into his hair. I'm just happy I still have mine. It's going gray, but I just like driving cars.
Well, you guys, we have a lot of exciting events come up. We're going to interview Ed in a second. Obviously, it's Ed Carpenter Racing. I need to run the conference real quick, right? Gone conference, it's on that promo real quick, and then we'll get back to interviewing Ed. I know some of our promoters out there and our producers know that I'm looking for a sailor to be attending that event. We already have Charles Payne, who's going to be speaking, I believe, on Saturday night.
Yeah.
You're going to have a meet and greet with Charles Payne. He's going to talk about entrepreneurship. He's been around a lot of people.
Yeah.
I actually have known Charles for, I'm really dating myself. I started on Wall Street in 1991, or is it 1990? 91, I think, or 92. So I've known Charles since 1993.
Great
back when
guy.
he was like selling Jag notes and stuff like that.
Yep.
You, Ed, do you invest at all?
I do.
What do you like to invest in? I know you're the first guy to like race a Bitcoin car, and I really got to be honest with you. Last year, when you had the Bitcoin car, I thought I'm not gonna lie, I was massively jealous. I'm like, what the hell? And then I was thinking to myself, how do you have a Bitcoin car when it's decentralized? Like, who made the decision? I'm gonna sponsor a Bitcoin car. Now, we're not gonna get into who that was, but I've learned a little bit from you on that. But I was fascinated with this. So maybe you can give the viewers kind of a high level of how you got into Bitcoin, and then we'll go backwards.
Yeah, so this is my helmet over here from Indy last year, which has Bitcoin on the front. It started with a good friend of mine. My kids play hockey, so another dad I travel playing hockey with, he's responsible for getting me into Bitcoin. And we were just coming up with ideas, and it's like, why don't we run a Bitcoin car? And people were like, how'd you get Bitcoin to sponsor you? And Bitcoin doesn't sponsor people.
Right.
So we just kind of ran with it. And then behind the scenes, there were some people supporting it. We raised a lot of money for open source development and 501c3s in that space, and funded a car and promoted something that we all care about.
You actually spoke. I heard that you spoke at the Miami Bitcoin conference.
We were there, yeah. Connor was there, I was there, Renus was there.
What did you think of it?
It was fun. I'll definitely be back if I can.
For sure.
Nice.
What do you think of the idea? I mean, have you spent any time understanding Bitcoin, like how it works? Do you feel like you're like an expert now since it was all over your car, or are you still like a little hesitant?
I'm not hesitant. I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means. It's the deeper you dig into it, on one hand you understand it more, but it can also confuse you more.
Little rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's a big rabbit hole, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I talked to Connor the other day, and he said, I'm thinking about taking all my fee in Bitcoin. Forget fiat currency. Just give me Bitcoin. He didn't really say that, by the way. He said half of his fee.
Half?
Yeah. Would you ever want to get paid in Bitcoin?
Sure.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Wow. I think it's important, Ed. I have been to many Indy 500s, many Indy races. You are a fan favorite specifically. I have seen a pretty, I would say, emotional following, a connection to you. I think it's because you're easy to get along with, but you're a hometown guy who started his own team. Maybe you could give everyone a little bit about your background, how you got started.
Yeah, I mean, I started racing when I was 8 years old in quarter midgets. First cars over there, just off camera. Always wanted to race at the Indy 500 and was fortunate enough to make it there. I ran my first Indy 500 in 2004 and have been in every one since. Started this team in 2012, and I tell people I've just been doing it long enough that people finally started to like me after a while. And some of the folks that are here watching have given me really, really competitive and fast cars that we've been able to go win poles and lead laps and be a factor. And when you're fast, people like you.
One of the things I liked about you guys is you're clearly a big family. I was looking at your board over here, and some people were explaining to me you have employees, people that have been part of your race team a long time. I mean, why do you think so many people stick with you so long?
I mean, we've tried to always just build a place. We wanted to build a team that people would want to stay at. It's a competitive environment. Every off season, other teams are trying to hire personnel from other teams, whether it's mechanics, engineers, and we just wanted to build a place that people wanted to work at. And we've been fortunate that a lot of our team has been here a long time, and they're a huge part of our success.
You've run since 2004, so you've run every Indy for the last, is that 18 years?
Yeah, I think it's 18.
This will be 18?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Is that right? This will be 19.
19.
Yeah.
You're like 12?
Do you remember one race more than the other races?
Yeah, you definitely remember more some than others, without a doubt.
Like the first one, does that have more memory than any of the others?
I remember a lot of things from the first one. I didn't finish it, so I remember that part clearly.
Why did
And
you
the
not
aftermath-
finish?
I got into a crash. But there was a rain delay fairly early in the race, and after the rain delay, an accident. So
So,
I think it was like lap 70 something. It was
To you,
before
what's the
halfway.
hardest turn there?
I mean, Indy's funny because it's very dependent on weather and wind. So they can, any given year or part of the race, any one of the four corners can be the most challenging. But turn one probably gets talked about the most.
Right. But I've seen, I mean, turn one gets talked about, but I've seen turn 4 like break more hearts, it seems like, right? You're on the
Yeah, I mean,
you're on the home stretch, right?
Yeah, I mean, J.R. Hildebrand lost on the last corner of the last lap.
5/8 of a mile to go,
Yeah,
right?
Thomas Schechter had one there. But yeah, there's been heartbreak everywhere.
So how'd you get started starting your own team?
Well, you were talking about Fuzzies earlier, which I try to not talk about a ton because they're not a team partner anymore, but we still have some cars around with historical relevance. But it's really started with them. I was partnered with them when I was driving for another team, and it was going well. And one of the investors in that wanted to help me start a business, and we took off running from there and haven't turned back.
So it was Fuzzies that led you to your first team?
The other owner so it's Fuzzy Zeller and a guy named Stuart Reed. So Stuart Reed, he's still a business partner in the team.
I feel like I've always known Ed Carpenter Racing. I guess it's been around long enough where you automatically think it's been around forever, but it's not been around forever.
No, I mean, we're young relative to some of the teams, whether it's Penske, Ganassi, Andretti. They've been around, twice as long or more.
But you're very competitive. Every Indy I ever see, all your drivers are up in the top 5, top 10 all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate to have success, especially at Indy, and we've won races and all the types of tracks that we go to. So, we haven't won a championship yet, but we're working towards that.
Jason, you got anything for Ed?
Now, I was just curious. 18 starts at Indy, 17 finishes. You said you had one wreck, or
No, I've wrecked out more than one time. I wrecked in 2014.
Yeah.
And maybe 15 as well.
I mean, it's a very volatile race, kind of like Bitcoin in a sense.
Yeah,
where
it's a marathon, but there's a lot
Yeah.
that can happen. There's some things you can control.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that happen out of your control.
I mean,
some of
I
my
mean, do you think-
problems have
do
been
you-
my own doing. Others haven't.
Do you think Ed just like, if something doesn't go his way, just gives up, doesn't race the next year?
No, sir.
No. I
He
mean, I'm
puts-
just curious.
Yeah.
For those of you watching Risk On, this is a show about risk. Obviously, Ed's take the ultimate risk. He races, this will be his 19th Indy 500. You raced all kinds of ovals around the country. Did you ever race over in Europe at all?
No, well, I've been overseas with IndyCar. We used to go to Japan, been to Brazil, and obviously we still race in Canada when the borders open.
Is Toronto, is that like a foreign country? Kind of Canada? I'm just kidding around. We're just we
Technically.
make fun of Canada. We can't help ourselves here. Well, so 18. This will be the 19th race. Is the hardest thing for you? Is the hardest thing racing or getting sponsorship?
Oh, getting sponsorship is, I mean, it's all hard, but that's harder, I think.
But it's such a popular sport. It's what's so difficult about getting them?
I mean, I think as we get more into this era, there's so much competition. 20, 30 years ago, everyone consumed cable TV or network TV, and that's where the races were, and it was just pure advertising and branding. Now people consume entertainment everywhere, and there's so much more competition that we're all just competing for a smaller piece of the pie. So, depending on what someone's strategy is with their business, it makes sense. For others, it doesn't. And, it's our job to convince them that we can do a good job.
Was it easier, sort of the pre-settlement tobacco days, or not? Was it still hard back then?
I wasn't racing at this level in that era, but for sure there was, when tobacco money was in racing, I mean, there wasn't a race car or race car driver that wasn't selling tobacco.
So you think, I'm curious as to whether, I know another team has a sponsorship from a token. I think they're going to run a car at Indy, and I'm not going to say their name. But you're the first person that I know of to ever do Bitcoin, like to ever even embrace cryptocurrency, basically DeFi.
Yeah, I think we were the first ones last May. There's definitely been more happening in the space, whether it's an IndyCar, Formula One, other racing series, NASCAR. But it was fun to be one of the first ones, if not the first, to take that step and do something different.
So, I mean, it seems like it goes in waves. We saw Target sponsoring cars for years. I don't know what their sponsorship's like anymore. But, like, do you see a new wave of sponsorship right now? Besides, I mean, is this possible you see Bitcoin companies, mining companies, DeFi companies sponsoring more? Or do you think there's specific type of sponsorships that make more sense?
No, I think you'll see more and more of it get in. The space is growing so rapidly, and, you know, some people feel like they're late to the game, but it's still so early. And, you know, there's new exchanges popping up every day and so much competition. So I think you're going to see more and more of it, whether it's in motorsport, sports in general. There's a lot of growth to be had.
So we spoke last night, and I asked you, like, what do you want to do after you're racing? You say you want to continue to run a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long do you want to run a team? The rest of your life?
Yeah, till I die.
Committed. I mean, full risk on the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Do you? Can we? Is it okay to talk about that thing you told me about the tires? Is that inappropriate?
What did I say about the tires?
But just like how they audit you and everything like that.
Well, we were talking about your. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we.
Well,
can
I'll
talk
lead it
about
in
that.
a little bit. One of the things that Ed did was take us for a tour, and I think the average person, I mean, maybe some men who are into cars pay more attention to it, and it seems natural to you. But to me, the idea that, like, the tires can all be so different, and I understand there's red and blacks and one softer than the other, but I thought maybe you could just talk about the extremes that Firestone goes to make sure that competition doesn't get their tire.
Yeah, so every car in the IndyCar series runs on Firestone tires. We're a Chevrolet team as well. Whether it's Firestone, Chevrolet, when you see manufacturers being a part of a sport like this, you know, you may not realize it, but the work they're doing here in racing, whether it's IndyCar or other series, they're developing technology and pushing the limits of what they do with the tire, the engine, the technology, that they're transferring those learnings into, you know, the tires that go on the vehicles we drive every day. So they're super protective about the properties of those tires. And, you know, we in the back of the shop, there's racks of wheels with no tires on them. And I was explaining how, you know, we get the tires put on when we get to the track, and before we leave, they take them away again. And, you know, there's tires around here, but every single tire that's in this building, you know, there's a sheet for with a serial number, and they ask on an annual basis where they are. So they even just shows tires that are on a show car that have never raced before, they still protect that property.
I mean, they're protecting intellectual property, but I mean, the idea that they're going out of their way to track tires that have already been used, they don't want them in the hands of one of your people on your team told us that they destroy them after
Yeah,
this.
I think so. I
Ran-
mean, they take them
yeah.
away, so I don't know what they do with them.
Randy, you hear that, right? Hands off the tires, Randy.
Randy asked for a free tire, by the way, but apparently you gotta. So they even go as far as to make, like, if you make a dinner table like out of a tire, they make like kind of a fake tire.
Yeah. If we need like a display tire, I think they call them, we have to put in a request for what it's for, and, you know, they work with us. They're a great partner.
So it may seem like a stupid question, but, like, is the Indy 500 your favorite race? Is that, like, typically
Yeah,
your
it's a
favorite race?
no-brainer.
No-brainer?
Not even close.
Okay, so what's like 2 or 3? Like, there's 17 races this year. It starts off in St. Petersburg on the 27th. I know you'll be testing on February 14th or 15th. But what's your, like, favorite besides Indy?
It changes. I mean, wherever we're fast, really, it can be different every single year. But I like everywhere we go. We go to a lot of cool cities, a lot of cool tracks, but nothing's like Indianapolis. You know.
Yeah, I thought today was like it's pretty crazy. I got to be honest with you. It was like first of all, I was surprised at how rough the road was a little bit, though.
Oh, it's smooth.
It doesn't seem very smooth that you're
We'll
doing
take you to some other tracks
240 miles an hour.
that'll change your
over,
opinion of that.
There was a little, like, over the bricks, the strip of bricks is actually a little bit of a bump.
Yeah, we go over it so fast though that it's just a blip.
Yeah. You feel it all?
You feel it, yeah. You feel it.
So what do you think of Conor Daly and I hooking up and then meeting you and doing what we're doing here? I'm curious as to, like, you when we were looking to find a team Obviously, we met Conor. We were talking to some other people beforehand, but you get a lot. Do you get a lot of those like calls? Let's do it, and they turn out to be a bullshit or whatever.
It's been known to happen in motorsports, but I think it was a big relief that you came into our lives and a partner of the team now. Conor's driven with us the past 2 seasons with a different partner, and we've been working hard together to continue the relationship. So we're very thankful.
Well, I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about like in terms of, and forget us because we just got started. But like, do you ever have like your favorite sponsor you ever had before that you don't have now? Like the one that you thought was like that was one of the coolest you had. I thought the Air Force was like I thought that was a really great sponsorship. Obviously, I'm pro Air Force. There's no question.
No, without a doubt. I mean, Air Force they were a great partner, and they're no longer with us, but hopefully they will be again someday. Representing an institution like that, it's different than just representing a vodka or another brand. But yeah, the Air Force would be the one that I would say we'll miss.
It's strange to me though that you when you go into the military and you work, you have different assignments and they rotate every so often. You talked about like you're dealing with new people at the Air Force all the time. I mean, that would be like it'd be like a rough gig. Can you talk about like that idea of refreshment every couple of years?
I mean, I think it's kind of just standard with them with the way they assign people and promote people, and people's time comes to an end with their assignments. But it was the best part about it was we got everyone that we ever met through that partnership, whether it was generals or whoever. It was a great group of people that represented our country, and for us to be associated with them, it was really, really an honor. But you see that like you were talking about Target earlier. They were in the sport for 25 plus years, and a new CEO will come along that wants to do something different, and they take the company in a different direction. So we see that all the time with sponsorships coming and going.
So I know you have family in the business. So I'm not going to really talk about that, but obviously you come from a pretty big race family. There's no question that that's the case. Is your son going to go on and race, you think?
I don't think so. So I've got a 12-year-old. My oldest son's 12. I have a 14-year-old daughter, which girls race too. And a 9-year-old son.
No question, Danica.
Yeah.
I
but
got you.
They've both.
Some owners you still Vestra.
They've both expressed interest, but not enough commitment to really pursue it. So they're doing other things, which is.
But
fine.
is this something that if they want to do, you'd support them doing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
But you're not one of those dads that's like you got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some drivers that find out they're having a son and they've got a go-kart for him before they even get born. I was more the opposite. It's a hard career to go into. There's always a lot of volatility and uncertainty. So I would want it to be their choice, and if they want to do it, I would support them 100%. But they haven't shown the commitment at this point.
Like I named my son Enzo, like tried to like navigate that he would be a driver. I knew my first son wanted to play football, so my second son, I'm like, I'm going to name you Enzo, and that will push you in that direction.
And it
he
didn't
did
work.
race
It
a
didn't work
go-kart
out.
for like 2 weeks, and I told him like apex the turn, full speed, don't let up, and he ran into the wall. Or
He may have needed a better driver coach.
I was not. I'm definitely not the. I'm definitely not the driver for sure. Listen, I appreciate the fact that you gave us a great tour today. What did you think of that?
It was just phenomenal. I like the team here, the camaraderie. I mean, obviously, you're super passionate about being a team owner, and then I don't know how you balance like team ownership life and then racing life. Like I think you would get probably just as much satisfaction if one of your drivers were to win the Indy 500 instead of you winning the Indy 500. You probably weight them the same. It's like, you want to talk about that a little
Would
bit?
he really wait that?
Yeah,
I think so.
It would be. I would still weight a win for myself a little higher, I think.
Yeah.
But
would you? Like,
But
would you
100%
hit-
if Conor.
If Conor was like right there and you were right there and you're like right almost to the. Would you kind of nudge him a little bit?
I would probably consider it, but I don't think I would actually do it.
No?
Because
Open
if
wheel's
you
pretty
can
bad,
if you can
right?
run 1-2 at Indy, that would be pretty huge. So I wouldn't take the chance of hurting that.
Yeah.
But we're a no contact sport, really.
No contact.
No fenders.
Well, we hope
No,
so,
Robin's
yeah.
not racing. That's what.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
mean, it can-
Randy used to
not
yell
at
at me.
Indy, not at
Randy
Indy.
used to yell at me and say, "NASCAR sucks. Robin's not racing. It's not racing." He would be like all mad about it.
I
and
didn't see
everything.
that side of Randy last night, but
Oh, trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
like at a street
Yeah.
course, you'll see some contact. But at Indy, with the speeds we're running, it's a no contact sport.
Yeah.
or should be.
Well, I still am amazed how clean the place is. I honestly thought I would see like some grease on the floor. I thought your partners, the people who work with you, would be like, their nails would be dirty.
No, they're very clean. We have very
Everything's
clean
clean
people.
here.
They're like operating rooms. It's like
That's
really
probably the
clean back
number one
there.
reaction when people first come to a race shop. I think they think they're going to walk into like
Grease and
the
grime?
back of a Napa. Yeah, but everything's clean and very surgical.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I think that's. So you're 40 years old now,
Yep, I'll be 41 in March.
and how long? I mean, I know Elio. He's like an old man. He's racing like
We don't know
Isn't
how
he like
old
49
Elliot-
or something?
That's what he says, I think. But
50,
he may be
51.
older
He's
than
my
that.
age or something.
Could be.
But how late do you think you could run?
As long as I can. As long as I'm still fast and.
Does it feel like anything
I want
slows
to do it.
down? Like when you go into turn one, do you, as you got older? Because like right now, I need glasses. I'm 52, but around 40, I knew I needed glasses. Of course, you're in better shape than me.
I wear
but-
contacts. I'm practically blind without contacts. So I got glasses when I was in the 3rd grade.
Do you wear them during the race?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you don't think of you're like Tom? You're going to be like the Tom Brady of racing?
Well,
I mean, if you ate kale every
he's
day-
won a lot more than I have, so I don't know that I would say that. But as long as I'm still capable of running fast at Indy and having a chance to win there, I don't plan.
Well,
on
you
stopping.
say that the way you say that, like this is a hard sport to win that race. I mean,
Very hard.
You've got to get lucky to win the race. You got to run it a lot of times. Some people win it their first time.
Yep.
Some people never win it.
And that's frustrating.
And the last time, I mean, one of the most famous names in motorsports, Andretti, right? We all agree with
Yeah.
that, right? Mario.
Yep.
And the last time that they won it was 52 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
it-
I'm 52 years old. They won it the year I was born, right?
Wow.
So it's pretty easy to judge. Like, no Andretti.
Yeah, there's a ton of talented guys that haven't won the race, so it's something we all pursue.
But you could keep pursuing it for another 10 years, you think?
Maybe I don't know. We'll see.
Do you feel like you want to?
I want to do it as long as I feel like I can do a job that the team deserves.
Right. I feel like watching you for years, you're always the most competitive. I always saw you up in front all the time. Like you're always 2, 3, 4, 5, or you'd be at 9 and you get back to 2. It seems like you're always competitive.
That's why I keep coming back.
Right. Is it like a golf shot where, like occasionally, like on 18 holes, I'll hit it like only 20 feet from the pin, and I think you're a racer, but I'm not really a golfer, right?
I'm not a golfer either.
But it's the same feeling, right? Do you get the same feeling like when you're in the top 5? Okay, I'm going to give it a try again.
Yeah, definitely. There's years, there's years where I felt like we had the best car in the race. There's other years where we didn't do a good enough job, but more often than not, the team has given us very, very good cars at Indy.
I apologize. I went too long, didn't I, with Ed? All right, guys. Well, we're going to switch over to the man of the hour. Obviously, Ed is the boss. It's Ed Carpenter Racing. And with that being said, are we going to play a promo for? Let's run the promo for our man.
Conor.
I know Conor's
I
name.
thought you forgot his name.
No,
Conor Daly for the race lead. 24 years old, Noblesville, Indiana. Conor Daly continuing to lead.
Conor Daly takes victory in the opening race of the weekend.
Move by Conor Daly around the outside of his teammate. Conor Daly, who's moved up a couple spots, he's gotten around. Conor Daly with a forceful move on the inside.
Conor Daly continues to put on a pretty good show of pace.
Laying down good lap times, trying to build as much of a gap as he possibly can.
Conor kept the lead. Wheel to wheel with Tony Kanaan.
What a great drive. The American national anthem will play, this time for Conor Daly.
Well, we are with the man of the hour. Quite honestly, I never thought I was going to get lucky enough. Like last year, I bet on a couple cars to win, and you led 40 laps, and I was like, you know what? We're going to lose this race to Conor Daly. And then someone like threw a wheel at you or something. I don't know what was going on there. Was that Graham Rahal?
You know what the best part about that is, though, is you did bet on our team, so we'll take it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I've told
It's
Ed.
a team effort.
I told Ed I always love watching Ed Carpenter racing. Everyone that races for him is competitive, and I thought you were with the Air Force, so I didn't think like you were going to be available. We were searching around for a marketing deal. We really kind of wanted to do the Indy 500 only. We thought maybe we'd do some other events for Alzamend, brand awareness of what we're doing, some of our launching of our products, and then when you became available, all of a sudden it was kind of a little bit of a marketing dream for us, right? Why did it become so important to us as a company? Well, you're on Twitch. You have a big following. You have a Formula One connection, which is pretty big in your family. You got an Irish connection, so you're connected overseas. We have businesses over in Europe. And so you became almost the perfect person. And then when I heard you were with Ed Carpenter, I was like, well, I already knew you were with Ed Carpenter, but I didn't know, because last year I watched you race for 2 different teams, which was always confusing to me. Like,
me too.
I felt like, my father was a roofer, and he would show up at the union hall, and different people would hire him to work on different union. He was a commercial roofer, and I said to my dad, I'm at the same union, but now I'm with this company. Well, they don't need somebody, so now I'm at this company. I thought that was a rough thing, right? So I thought of you like as a union guy, like you just show up and say, I'm ready to race, and someone says, race for me today, and then so race for me today, but not really, right? I mean, how does this work? You've been at this a while now.
Yes, I mean, I drove for 3 teams in 2019, so it's been more than that.
3 teams.
Yeah, it's I've kind of spent a couple years as like trying to reestablish myself. You know what I mean? And sometimes it takes the right opportunity to do so, and we had that in really 2020 with Ed's team. As I finally kind of in 2018, I went from doing like 3 races to then 5 races in 2019 to then all the races in 2020 and 2021. So,
and last year you led the most laps, right?
Yes.
And you got like a $10 million bonus for that?
Yeah, it was massive, really.
And you bought that new green BMW?
And a house.
Right.
Yeah.
So
boat.
all you have to do is lead the most laps. You don't have to win to earn a lot of money?
Well, it would be nice to have a ring for sure and a bottle of milk. That's really the goal in the end of the day.
Do you get an actual ring?
Yeah, if you win. I mean, you actually get a ring to start the race, just to qualify for the race.
Okay, by the way, I was kidding. Cool. He didn't get $10 million. We're not.
Yeah, very kidding.
Come on. I mean, it doesn't. Everyone would just want to lead the laps,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But you did say that you were surprised that you got a decent check after leading the laps.
I think the Indy 500 is a very unique event because it's obviously our biggest one, but there's a lot that that I realized that there was a lot more to the event when you lead it, apparently. So that's really probably the best place to be is in front, it seems. For both financial reasons and for your future.
Was that the only Indy 500 where you led that most laps?
Yeah. Yep. That's the only Indy 500 that I've led so far. So, yeah.
Why did it seem like last year you, VK and Ed all seemed like you were really fast? Do you guys think you have an advantage because you guys are so close to the Indy 500? You don't test there more often than other drivers, do you?
No, I mean, honestly, it's all thanks to the people that are behind us and behind these doors here. I mean, everyone works so hard at this organization to make sure that every time we're on track that we have the best possible cars. And at Indy, everyone knows that Ed Carpenter Racing is going to be fast, and we've proven that time and time again. And Ed's done it more often than most people, and it's a very special feeling, especially as a kid from Indiana, to be driving for this team as well. And I mean, when you look at all the other, let's say, super teams, right? The 4-car teams, the 5-car teams, whatever it is. I mean, if you ask any fan or anyone that really watches our sport, you're like, well, what other team, goes up against all those guys and brings it every month of May for sure? And it's us for sure. So it's really, really honestly, it feels really special to be a part of that type of an organization because you want to have the shot every year to win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't say any names, but you see occasionally like a 1-car offering where maybe they're part of a smaller program and they're really not as competitive. They're happy to be there, but they're not as competitive. Ed Carpenter Racing is always very fast. It's one thing I've noticed all the time. The consistency's there. That's what's crazy about it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't come here to lose. So
no, I know, but some people go to the race, the Indy 500. They want to be there
for sure,
but they kind of know they're not going to win.
Yes,
right? They know they're going to try to put up a competitive car, but they maybe don't have the resources or the know-how or the knowledge. But to have 3 cars running and them always be consistent, like you know, you guys are up there. Penske's consistent. It looks like Andretti is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Carpenter's consistent.
I think what's
I
different.
think Ganassi's consistent.
Yeah.
But everybody else, is there anybody else in that of those 4 teams? Is there anybody else that you say is consistent like Ed Carpenter?
Well, I think what the most interesting part about that is last year's Indy 500 was the closest qualifying grid ever. So like from P1 to P33 was actually only like what, a mile an hour and a half? Like it was 2 miles an hour. Like really one of the closest fields ever. But part of what is special about Indy as well, certainly when I was growing up, it's a big enough event, and the prize money was so good, especially certainly when I was watching, that you did have the single car teams trying to make the race because it was very special to make the Indy 500, and it still is. Like we still have cars that don't make the race. So even if there's a car that's starting, let's say 29th, 30th, or whatever, it's pretty special to make that race, and anything can happen on race day. Like I've seen cars go from the last row to leading the race. I mean, you've seen people, you know, go from the front to the back to the front, whatever it is. And that's kind of what makes the Indy 500 the spectacle that it is the fact that as long as you make the race, anything can happen.
Ed, do they always run 33 cars? Has that always been consistent?
For the most part, I think there's maybe a year where they started more than 33 a long time ago. But yeah, there's traditionally 33 cars.
It freaks me out to see you guys, now that you took me on the track today, that you're all headed towards turn 1. There's 33 of you. Like, what doesn't seem possible is to squeeze into that turn. You did the turn. I don't know how you guys do the turn. You did it in a Tahoe. I don't know how you do that turn at 240 miles an hour. It doesn't seem physically, the physics don't seem like it makes sense.
Well, I won't lie, there's several situations on track where I don't think it's physically possible what we're doing either, but somehow we all fit into certain spaces that we never really, probably race cars weren't meant to fit into. But it's definitely better to drive 33 Indy cars than 33 Tahoes probably into turn 1. It'd be a little less spacious. But yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you that what we're doing out there, I think Ed would agree for sure, is like, it's the hardest place to race. I think it's the hardest place to qualify because you're going so fast. You're dealing with so many different variables. And at that speed, I mean, the tiniest thing matters. And that's why we have to be, you know, at a very, very high level, both mentally, physically, and technically with the team and everyone that helps set the cars up.
I have about 2 million followers, about 1.8 million on Instagram. And some of those, they gotta be bots, but let's just say that, you know, 100,000 consistently people like watch or view the tweets or whatever they are on Instagram that post. I have never in my entire 52 years that social media has been around. I think I was like one of the first accounts on Twitter when it started. I mean, like really early, and Jack and his team just started it. I have not in my life had so many DMs of support for you. Like I've never, like, even my haters, by the way, I know you're out there, keep hating because you keep making my show popular. So just don't stop. You can say whatever you want. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm overweight. Whatever you need to say to keep the show going, let's go. But you have a bunch of lovers. Like, I literally have been DM'd to death. Like, and by the way, you must have a lot of Christian followers because they all tell me, like, they all give me some sort of like, you know, they'll pray for me and they're so grateful for you.
Well, Heritage Christian High School graduate right here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You have a pretty rabid, like, follow a base of people who want to see you successful. I have some friends of mine that I think that what they say to me is, okay, Todd keeps trying, and we love him. He has the best intentions. That shithead sometimes, I love him, but sometimes I want to kick his ass, right? But in your case, everyone's so like, I don't know that I've ever received this many DMs, even from my haters, that aren't like pretty much so thrilled that you're going to race for 2 years for Ed Carpenter. I really honestly, and the video of you taking the lead when you passed VK, which by the way, now I replay all the time because now that we're sponsoring you, but when you took the lead and that the announcer called you a hometown hero, the flying mullet, all the things that were being said, how do you think you cultivated that? You're only 30. I mean, you've been racing a while, but you're 30 years old. You're not even really in your prime yet, in my opinion.
Thank you.
That's why I thought you were undervalued. I'm like, when John said and Cliff said you were available, I was like, really?
I mean, I think part of the reason why I'm still here is because of those types of supporters. You know what I mean? I think a lot of the partnerships that I've had have lasted, a considerable amount of time, because I think when people support me, my supporters and the folks that have been fans of IndyCar racing know to support the folks that support me, because I love doing this a lot. Like I love being a part of this sport. I love being a part of IndyCar, and I like competing. Like I grew up competing, and the adrenaline and the feeling of winning races was something that I was just extremely addicted to. But also I just loved doing it. Like I love driving. I love being a part of a team. I think the team atmosphere is so cool. I've tried to play every other team sport, but I sucked at all those. But this one was the right one. And I think, and I also just try to be nice to people as well. I feel like it's, if there's people that enjoy what I do, well, I enjoy the fact that you enjoy what I love. You know what I mean? And to show partners like you and everyone that you've brought on board with us here that my fan base, the people who support Ed, our team, want to support you as well. That's why I've still got a job, essentially. You know what I mean? Because I was dropped off the face of the earth in 2017 and have really just tried to been building back since then. And it's worked, and it's been, we've created an incredible relationship with this team and, with you now. So I have a passion for this sport that has kept me in the game, and I don't want to stop. Like there's nothing more that I want in life than to hold trophies up on the IndyCar podium, especially at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, because it's the coolest thing ever, and it's the best sport in the world, and it's and this team, the team effort that goes into it. Everyone works so hard, and there's only 17 winners a year. Maybe even less if people win, more races.
So like one race.
When you think about it, there's 7 billion people in the world, and only 33 of us get to suit up every year at the Indy 500. So it's a really, really special group to be a part of, and that's why I keep fighting for it. Yeah.
I didn't think about that. So would you rather race for Ed Carpenter or F1?
I mean, I'm happy here. I hate Europe. Yeah, I was over there. They're a bunch of losers, so I love it here. They treated us like crap.
Hey, Todd.
But don't you get the impression that's going to be Willie right now is like, okay, cut that. Like, we're going to play that all the time. Really?
Yeah. I mean, they hated us over there. Me and Alex Rossi were over there. We won races in F3. Alex was in F2. We both went to F2. We were testing F1 cars, and they were just like, Americans. And I was like, well, you know what? I love IndyCar. I love the Indy 500. So here we go.
Todd, I might think you might probably get some additional DMs from that one.
Oh, really?
No, it's what I said. It's fine.
No. Actually, I think it's great to be. It's maybe is it hometown, because I like F1. I'm not going to lie, but I don't like it as much as Indy. I can't. I grew up watching when I was a kid. I remember Michael Andretti. He was racing a Kmart car.
Yeah,
and I watched him like. By the way, did Cosworth used to make engines? Was that they make engines, guys?
Yeah,
they used to.
So he I think he drove a Cosworth engine, and I remember watching him break down a few times. Like the engine broke down. I'm like, how do you ever make it 500 miles? My impression when I was watching the Indy 500 when I was a kid was Michael Andretti could not make he didn't get around to race the whole race because the Cosworth engine went down.
Yeah, I mean, I love F1. Like, having said what I just said, like, I obviously have a lot of friends that are competing over there.
Yeah.
But it's just a different world, right? Like, it's a different world. But I love motorsport. Like, I was a fan first before I was a kid, and all those names that you mentioned, like the Andrettis, whatever it was, Michael Schumacher for me growing up, the Sennas, everyone like that. It was awesome to see that. But like when you then dive into that world, and then you see kind of what, how difficult it is and all that stuff and experience the environment, you kind of figure out what you really want to do with your life. And thankfully for me, ended up in IndyCar.
Yeah, but my point about F1 was that when I would investigate the teams and what they were spending, and the tires were covered, they cover the tires in
warmers,
like a warmer, and they and all this technology, and there was really, to me, and I know Randy probably wouldn't agree, it's a little more competitive now, But I watched F1 for like 10 years, and I watched Indy pretty much religiously. And I'm a huge Jensen Button fan, and that's probably really what got me going with F1, where I love F1 now. I could understand the strategy. But for the longest time, nobody passed each other.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing going on. And I don't know if you experienced this, but I would like watch a race, and they, everyone, they tried to get their position. Everyone get a pole position. They get on the grid, and then that would be the race. I mean, there was no race.
Yeah, for a long time, it's very much like that, and it's definitely gotten better. I think they see the competitiveness of our series, and a lot of the rules, things that they're doing there now, is more coming the direction and the package that we have here. But when you come to an IndyCar race, there's not a driver in the series that isn't capable of winning any given race, and there's not a team in the series that isn't capable of winning. So it's a bigger challenge in that regard, just because you have to beat more people. In Formula One, yeah, there's been more people winning, but it takes different circumstances within the race. At the end of the day, there's the likelihood of someone winning there is still down to 2 teams, barring a crazy strategy situation.
And it seems like to me at Indy, like the rules are pretty consistent, whereas at F1, they just make up a new rule in the middle of the race. They'd be like, okay, well, the yellow car is going to come out, and because you're only quarterback from the yellow car, you're not allowed to go around, but someone else can go around. I'm like, what the? I can never follow the rules.
I thought it made it for great entertainment at the end of the race. It was probably the best decision they could have made, but that was me watching as a fan.
F1 Twitter was wild.
Listen, we got to pay some bills real quick, so let's up obviously coming up is our next podcast. We're going to have Brecky Von Bitcoin on. I know that's a funny name here, but this guy's a famous artist, and he works for a pretty big company. The interview starts, tomorrow? When's the interview go live? Anybody know? The 20th, yeah. There's been an interview with me and Brecky Von Bitcoin. And then coming up after that is Conor Daly, who boy, you know what? She is so pretty and so smart. She's like an astronomer and a model and an actress at the same time. She's an actress too, by the way. You ever seen any of her movies?
No.
Gotta see some of her movies.
All right.
She's our producer now, but she's produced 7 or 8 Hollywood movies.
Love it.
It's crazy. I'm probably doing a bad job of this, but I got to be honest with you guys. I want to tell you how we're so thrilled about this. We have a bunch of things we want to do with Conor. Conor is on Twitch. Connor's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. He's available. His fans love him. Everyone loves Carpenter. It's okay. I don't know where we are with the show, but we're going to wrap it up soon. Jason, I'm going to avoid the market update today. Market sucks. That's the update. Jason, do you have an update? Market sucks?
Yeah, market sucks. Inflation's not stopping. Yeah, that's about it.
We would normally give an update, but we all know it sucks right now. We talked about this a couple months ago. I said we thought the first quarter was going to be tough. We positioned ourselves. We bought a lot of Bitcoin miners here at BitNile. BitNile is incredibly excited about mining in North America. This is what we do. This is why we bought the data center. We're staying consistent with our strategy. Let's go to one of our strategies, which is our Risk On conference. We're going to have a Bitcoin day there. You got to pre-enroll. I swear to you, it's not like one of those things where I get to give you more seats. I swear to you, there are a limited number of seats. And I can already see that about 20% of them have already been booked. If you're not on that list, I can't get you in there. Like the venue doesn't let more people than a certain number of people. Now, Conor will be racing that weekend, but he's going to phone in. He's going to be on video. We may have some other people, like a sailor. He may be there. A couple of people on Navy ships. I can't say his name because I can give you an indication. But we know that Charles Payne's going to be there. We knew some other people. I got a tongue lashing from Willie about giving away things, right? I'm sure he told Christy, tell Todd to shut up. But let's run the roll about the conference, and then I would love. Is it possible to introduce you guys? Would you guys mind coming on the show real quick? I can see you guys are all stampeding over.
Tons of excitement.
Come on. Come over. Come on, I want to introduce you guys real quick.
I want to fix my hair.
All right, we're back, right? All right, guys. So obviously, Conor Daly is supported by a team that's owned by Ed Carpenter and his partners. I cannot stress to you how important this is an evolution for our company. We own businesses in defense, power electronics. We're a lender. We own hotels now in the Midwest, Marriott and Hilton's. The Tribeca Hotel is going to be opening up, which will be, listen, I'm not proud of it in the sense that it's expensive. It wasn't my decision on how expensive it was going to be. But one of the nicest hotels in New York City ever opening, the La Fouquet, for the first time ever traveling from Europe to be here and open a 5-star hotel. We got a lot of brands under our belt, Earnity, Turn On Green, etc. And one of the things we like is to introduce a team. We've partnered and signed a 2-year deal with Ed Carpenter Racing and Conor Daly. And I am telling you that I believe Conor's going to win a couple races. The next 17, there's 2 years, 17 races. Obviously, we can all add what that adds up to. I know he's going to be in the winner's circle. But a lot of you are going to win because Conor's going to be giving away some Bitcoin. He's going to be doing some things that are exciting that I can't talk about fully. But Ed, obviously, I'm a family man. I have 4 kids. My mom and dad are still alive. Unfortunately, my dad's in Alzheimer's home, but we know about why I care about Alzheimer's so much. Ed, I know you're a family man, and your team's been with you a long time. You introduced me to Tim. We had dinner. A few other men. Can you introduce everybody? And when he introduces you, would it be possible to kind of raise your hand, and he's going to explain to you what everyone does?
Yeah, we got Vinny down here on the end. He's one of our engineers, especially on the damper project. Todd builds part of the drivetrain. Matt Barnes has been with us from day one, one of our race engineers. Jeff Grahn, I've known most of my life. He just finished his first year with us. Hopefully he'll be here a long time. Austin, he's been part of the family for a while now. Tim is like my brother, and we've worked together from the beginning, or dad, depending on the day. Then we've got Stan, also in the engineering department. Bobby, newer team member, but a great addition to the team. Jimmy is with us from day one. Jimmy and I actually worked together at another team before, back in my rookie year, so he saw me at my worst. Cheever, Red Bull Cheever.
Oh, wow.
And then Mike Nelson's on the business team. Bree was trying to hide there. She keeps us all straight. And Colleen's really the whole boss of the organization. Oh, sorry. I saw, dude Badger. Sorry, dude.
And Tim, you're the president of the team, right? And you run the day-to-day operations?
Yep.
Wow. All right, you guys, obviously, oh, yeah, that's right. You know, wow, the whole time. All right, sorry, guys.
Shoot.
Obviously, this is tradition.
Yeah.
Skyla, you traveled with us to Indiana. You were on the racetrack. What did you think today?
I thought it was amazing. I wasn't really much of a fan or paid attention to it before, but now I'm a fan. Everything I learned today, I'm so excited for this season, the next 2 years. It's going to be great.
And I just got to say, you suck, and I'll tell you why.
suck?
No, because you got to go, I'm 52 years old. I've been to Indy. I didn't get to go any of the places you got to. No one let me go on the track. I didn't get to go hang out with the president of Indy IMS. I didn't get to go in the Kubota thing. Was it called Kubota?
Pagoda.
What's it called?
Pagoda.
Pagoda.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go into any of those things. Skyla's first time here, she's like, "Oh, we're going to drive on the track. Oh, it's common to go right up here. Here's where Roger Penske's suite is. Oh, let's meet the president." I think it's bullshit, man. Personally, whatever. I waited 52 years.
It was really
for this.
cool. I loved it.
That's what's it called? Innocent, young, lost on the young.
Is Skylar giving us a joke today or no? Is that?
She's
I
giving
have
us
one.
What do you got?
Nice.
Why did the spoon go to the party dressed like a knife? Because the invitation said to look sharp.
All right. So this is a dad joke thing. We try to keep dad jokes. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, we ran a little bit late. It's Ed Carpenter Racing. You're going to hear about this like pretty much nonstop. So if you don't like racing, tune out. If you love racing like I do, and we're obviously, Conor, we're going to give you the last word. I really do believe that you're massively undervalued. And when you became available, I want to tell a true story. I decided to marry my wife 30 minutes into the date. Now, it's really 20, but I just try to extend it out a little bit because I didn't want to seem like I was desperate, but I wanted to marry her 30 minutes into the date. Conor and I met right away. We met, you told the story, we met. Maybe you could give everyone a quick little rundown of that story you told on Media Day.
Yeah, I mean, we met in Las Vegas for a meeting. I was there for my 30th birthday, as you do, celebrate in Las Vegas. And I was basically, hoping that it was going to go great, that we would get along well. And sure enough, had a nice conversation about motorsport. Could tell that you loved IndyCar, which is a huge proponent of, how this deal came to be. And it was great. I mean, honestly, like when you kind of identify what you want to get out of something, and I kind of identify what I think we can do together, that's how business is done, I think.
I knew right away that BitNile would benefit from the relationship with Ed Carpenter Racing and Conor Daly. Everyone, we'll see you on Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Special thanks to Ed Carpenter, his family last night for dinner, Conor Daly, the whole team, Tim, the president of Ed Carpenter Racing, Nick, Brett, Skyla, John, Cliff, Christy, our producer, not my wife, all the people for joining us in Indiana. This was great. Nick, Brett, I already said you guys' names. Randy's here. I didn't do this for Randy. I did this for BitNile, folks. See you tomorrow. Or see you Friday.